When I took office 18 months ago, Cook County was facing a $487 million deficit, and the fiscal year had already started, meaning we had to balance two budgets in 1 year. The second budget required closing a $315 million deficit. Now in my second year, we've begun work on our third budget. We're projecting another deficit for the upcoming fiscal year. Today, that number stands at $267.5 million. This is evidence that we're making progress, but that more work needs to be done to achieve the fiscal strength that I want for Cook County. To put this in perspective, since I've taken office, we've solved over $800 million in deficits. Now we're poised to solve another $267.5 million in the months to come. This shortfall amounts to about 12% of our operating budget, so clearly this is a problem that impacts everybody in county government. The preliminary budget we're releasing today shows that there are still significant revenue shortfalls within the Cook County Health and Hospital System that make up $152 million. Yet, even as we need to do more to boost the financial health of our healthcare system, there could be a ruling as early as tomorrow that will make that challenge even more difficult. That's the decision, of course, by the Supreme Court on the Affordable Care Act. I'm fully committed to working with Dr. Raju to stabilize and sustain our public healthcare system. He's been a godsend, and I commend the Health and Hospital System Governing Board for choosing him to be its leader. Our commitment to follow through on the rollback of the sales tax will mean a loss of $87.8 million in revenue for the next fiscal year. This is lower than we expected, a sign that the tax cut is doing what we expected it to do, that is, help residents and businesses in a difficult economy and spur growth throughout the region. Indeed, it's the anemic recovery of our economy that continues to be a key driver of our shortfall. Primarily, we see revenue losses across the board, and as I've said many times, local government is always the hardest hit by recessions and depressions. I feel it's worth pointing out that the county is expected to spend $195 million on pensions and another $290 million on health care benefits in 2013 alone. Obviously, this underscores the urgent need for pension reform at the county level, and I've stressed to all the key stakeholders the need for progress on this front. To counter the projected deficit that we're facing, I'm announcing some mid-course corrections for the current fiscal year to help reduce our shortfall. We're projecting a $22.4 million shortfall. That is, by the way, less than 1% of our total budget, so we're doing pretty well, for the end of this fiscal year. And these steps will aid both current and long-term fiscal stability. I'm imposing a partial hiring freeze on all vacancies created by retirements, with the exception of positions that reduce overtime, increase revenue, are grant-funded, or deemed critical to county operations, such as prison guards or staff in the medical examiner's office. We're also working to achieve savings through the City-County Collaborative to help offset the shortfall. I've tasked the Budget Office to redouble their efforts to monitor budgets and ensure each office spends within their means as the year closes. They will also work harder to identify unnecessary cuts that can be eliminated in a manner that will have the least impact on residents and taxpayers. We believe these steps will aid our efforts to balance the fiscal year 2013 budget, but we know that there is much work to be done in the coming weeks. There will be tough choices to be made. This is going to be difficult, but this is the economic reality that we face. As we prepare our formal budget recommendation, which we will present to the County Board in October, as we did last year, we will be working closely with each department, the independently elected officials, and members of the board to reduce our deficit. This is a collective and a collaborative process that's not going to be easy. All of us will have difficult decisions to make. So I would ask for their help and support as we move forward. The public expects us to be innovative, creative, and firm. We must take a data-driven approach. That being said, I want ideas. We have the responsibility to the public to balance our budget in a smart and responsible way. So I want to say to our separately elected officials, to the Board of Commissioners, to our staff, to our unions, to the public, don't wait until October to voice your opinion. The work starts now. We also owe it to taxpayers to hear from the public before making our budget decisions. I want people to engage with their government as we move forward with this difficult process so that we can incorporate the ideas of the public into our budget. That's why we'll continue to post our updated budget information online at www.cookcountyil.gov/budget. The website has an interactive feature known as Tell Toni. I did not make that up. Tell Toni that allows residents to share their thoughts on the website through other social media. We'll also be having a public hearing on July 18th to give residents the opportunity to weigh in on the choices that must be made and to lay out their priorities for the 2013 budget. I encourage everyone who can attend to do so. That's July 18th.
As the President said, we are projecting a $267.5 million shortfall for fiscal year 2013. This preliminary budget is a forecast meant to project current operations forward to the following fiscal year. The process of a preliminary budget strengthens the overall process, giving us data earlier and lets us work to recommend a budget in October that reflects the President's vision for fiscal responsibility and innovative leadership. Local governments across the country are dealing with significant financial challenges, and Cook County is no exception. In the past 2 years, the President has made very tough budget decisions that have made the county more efficient without jeopardizing the vital services that the county residents depend on. Approximately 80% of the county's budget is personnel. Much of that spending tends to grow each year with the collectively bargained cost of living increases, step increases, and other built-in costs. Despite that, the President has made significant structural changes to strengthen the county's finances, solving the $800 million in deficits in the past 2 years. As the President mentioned earlier, much of what's driving the projected shortfall stems from declining revenues. $250 million out of the $267.5 comes from declining revenues. The Cook County Health and Hospital System revenue from patient fees is declining $152 million. That's the largest component of that decline. We're also seeing lower than expected revenue collection in cigarette tax, court filing fees, gas diesel tax, and also the sales tax, which is tied to the planned rollback in January of 2013 of 0.25%. The mid-course corrective actions the President outlined will aid us in closing our projected deficit for this year of $22.4 million, as well as aid us in resolving our shortfall for the following year. As we move forward, the President has tasked the Budget Department to go through the budget line by line, reviewing every detail to identify where we can make structural changes and limit the use of scarce resources, primarily on focusing on core functions. The President has also made clear that we need to incorporate feedback and ideas from the public. To that end, we're having the public hearing on July 18th. We're requesting that departments provide their budget to us in early August, and we will work to finalize solutions with all the other offices and departments prior to presenting the executive recommendation in October. Thank you.
This, as you know, is the beginning of a process, of the budgetary process. As the President outlined, it's not her budget, and she challenges the electeds and the department heads. And I hope the electeds will come to the seriously and face this issue. You look at the budget, and the vast majority of the budget is their budget, whether it's in the public safety, all the electeds. Her budget, under the office of the President, is a very small percent of the budget. But it's the beginning of a process, and we hope to pass it in November.